All I know is that Venus has moved into Libra, and that's its home sign, and that's a key to, these aspects that we went through with the new moon, and the way that it's kind of holographically clicking the month, what has occurred. Okay, yesterday was that new moon. I had it mixed up, of course. Just knowing that Mars would oppose the big Mars opposite Uranus. Is actually happening. Well, it says here, God, if I can just get this right, it's coming up here on Tuesday. And what just happened on the 13th? Well, we just had the new moon. See, of course I had it completely mixed up. I'm just so tired of it. It's Neptune on my Venus, or opposing my Venus, let alone that Pluto. I mean, whatever excuse I can make, the bottom line is, I can't seem to get the information right the first time. And I have to double check, and it's like, wait a minute, wait. We have yet to have this Mars opposed Uranus. It's in the air already, but there's an exact aspect that happens, and that is on Tuesday the 14th. And that's today. So, it's a big be careful. I mean, in general, Mars Uranus opposition or square, like the hard aspects, will cause, you'll see a kind of a freak accident kind of a tinge. So be very careful, people, today on Tuesday 11/14. I'm trying to get my information right, but that Mars, that's the concern in the air right now. I couldn't sleep very well, but I did get to sleep early yesterday around about 8:30, but I ended up waking up at 2:30 or 3 in the morning, and I made sure my body was resting and everything. That's what brings me to the conversation that I wanted to talk about right now. The opposition to Uranus, which is well, first of all, the Sun is conjunct Mars here. Let's see. Now, what happens? This is probably why I got so confused. And I'm Martian here, but we have Sun in Scorpio, which is a Pluto-ruled sign. So Sun is under Pluto rulership. That's really intense, people. And it's some intense inner spiritual issues that we may have to um, just put up with. It. People around us that aren't full of shit are going to be more intense. And anyway, kind of to put it generally. So I'm looking at the degrees of the Sun and Mars and what they're doing, and it looks like it does a little dance here. Man, it's strange the way that the numbers aren't quite lining up, but they are definitely conjunct now by 1 degree, the Sun and Mars. It's a hyperactive thing. So it's looking like by the 17th, finally at 24 degrees, they line up, and it's hard to see what's happening here. It's looking like that the Sun is catching up with Mars, and then it's going to see Mars is kind of cruising along, and the Sun is going to catch up with Mars all through this week. And it's involved with this opposition to Uranus, which is Venus-ruled Taurus. And that's why I was pointing at the Venus in Libra, because the Venus in Libra is the key right now. With when the Mars conjuncts the Sun, is kind of disappearing around the Sun and getting this amazing bath of of the Scorpio sun, and it's transformation 100%. So through through transformation is how we do change and get better or whatever, or worse. It depends on, you know, our growth ability, our need to transcend. Really, it's how miserable we are, and you know, I say that, but it's like what I mean is that's usually what happens when we finally decide to change. It's like the lobster story. The lobster grows a shell, and but its little soft body under there is growing, and it must grow, but the shell disallows it sometimes, uh, all the time. This is what happens with the poor crab. It gets uncomfortable. It's trying to grow, and it needs to, all kinds of things happen to the poor thing. You look at it, and it has to go and seek shelter under a rock because it's going to get all vulnerable. It's out of sorts, you know. It's not even living in its own shell comfortably, and so it's gonna kind of recluse and go under a rock, and it kind of rubs against the rock, I think, and it starts to bust through the shell, and like maybe that's painful or it's shocking or whatever, but it's going to finally get through the shell, and I guess it's vulnerable when it's sitting there without the shell. Maybe it takes a few days for it to finally crystallize over, you know, its new shell. But it's all a painful kind of discomforting thing, and it's temporary, but it's all necessary to become a bigger lobster, and a more beautiful one, perhaps. It has a different design on the shell and all that good stuff. And anyway, thanks for listening to that. God, it's a good story. With the Scorpio is oceanic. It's water. And we do have a lot of water. This is very, very healing. So I'm trying to point at it. It's like, well, even though, and so there's this opposition. Mars used to be the ruler of Scorpio. It's in Scorpio at home. It's going to do some intense, freaking penetrative work, as like the shaman moving through, and with it opposing Uranus. You know, that could be, to me, it's like it's accident prone, but it's an opposition, so it can work both ways. So this means that the so-called accident, or you know, whatever's going on with the high energy, there's a lot of energy at the base level of creation, really, that with the root chakra there, the Scorpio, which my cat is running in circles doing figure eights over there, and it's been happening for the last 3 days, and just, if you can really get into this energy that's in the air right now with the Venus in Libra, it's a really great time for some people, you know, the Libran faction, the Libra generation. It's time for healing. Very intense. And so, too, the generation just above my generation, which is the Uranus and Scorpio, and the Pluto and Scorpio people. Those people are going through an intense, it's like hyper therapy or something, all of the Earth's population. But you notice, you know, there's some people that will just give in to the shamanic life, which really means just looking into the things around you and the nature of it, and really absorbing, like, what is it? You know, empaths can be more shamanic, but so can narcissists. All of them are. I mean, we are all shamans if we look at it. We are all people that are working with energy around us, and kind of manipulators of that. And it depends on, like, well, who are you? Do you manipulate things into a, a an expanded view? Like, well, how do we do this? What works here is this for the greater good? Like, would I want to show this to my children when we you know, and that's a hard subject matter. Closing this up right now, how do I back out of it? I say, we of course we want to show our children only the right way to do it. show them the right way. And of course, there's a right and wrong way to do things. There's this myth out there that says it's all good and there's no right and wrong way. And I'm like, well, I wouldn't want you even serving me a glass of water, because there is a right way to hold the cup, opening at the top. There's a right way to pour it in. There's a right way to pour a glass of water and set it down. You don't hold it upside down and then pour it over there and then throw it at the. That's the wrong way to do it.